My name is Mark Lee, I'm 51 and I'm from Pinner in northwest London.
My name is Andrew Morris, I'm 42 years of age and I'm from New Zealand.
Alec, I'm 68 and from Bedfordshire.
I'm Phillip Khan-Panni. I'm not as young as I used to be, and I'm a member of the Zipper Club. And I live in Bromley, the edge of London.
Heart Foundation is one of two charities that I regularly support. I've done London to Brighton a couple of times. I've done other bits of fundraising, and I give them all the ridiculously expensive clothes that my wife wears once. Hopefully they make a few quid out of those.
Because when I came out of hospital, I found out who had actually got that advert, and it was the British Heart Foundation. So I wrote to them and said, thank you for saving my life.
You know, the British Heart Foundation is second to none. I always know at the end of the fun there's someone there can help me. You know, without them, I don't think I would have been here today.
What happened was I went on a diving holiday, I had a medical to check that I could dive, and the doctor said, you're not going underwater, mate, your pulse is going crazy. You better go and get it checked out. So I went to hospital in Malta, and they said I had something called atrial fibrillation, which is not going to kill you most of the time, but it really does mess you about. It's an electrical problem, you know, it's totally self-induced. If I hadn't tried to party more than my body was capable of, then I probably would have been okay.
It began when I crashed my car on the M11. I fell asleep at the wheel in the fast lane, going up to Stansted, and came off the road, crashed the car, wrote it off completely. Now I'm a professional speaker, I was a singer, and I was a runner as well. And I used to run marathons and cross country. So of course all three activities require breath, and I noticed it's becoming increasingly breathless. So I went to see my GP, and he said, you better go and see a cardiologist, Dr. Graham Jackson, terrific bloke. He put me on a treadmill test, and he said the average time was 9 minutes. Now remember, I used to run marathons, I used to run cross country and so forth, so I was pretty fit. I came off the treadmill after 7 minutes, so I knew something was wrong.
And I was going home for lunch, and I went past a big poster, the JYOKES campaign poster, which is stuck in my mind since I'd seen it a week earlier, of a guy with a belt around his chest saying, you know, if you have a pain in the chest, dial 999. And I got in the door at home and the pain hit me. And I sat down and I remembered the advert, so I dialed 999.
Well, you feel giddy. I mean, the first time I went off, I was exercising, going out, and then I come over dizzy and bang, it went off. And it sent me flying. As I said before, it cut my head open. And it saved my life. I mean, when I got it back into King George's, my consultant came in and was laughing. And I said to him, what are you laughing at? He says, at least we know it works. It's brought you back and you're here to tell the tale. Yeah.
And he said, you're going to need a heart bypass next week, and don't fly. I said, is there some alternative? He said, yes, a massive disabling heart attack. I said, I'll have a bypass.
Well, I lost both my father and my father-in-law to heart disease. My father, obviously I grew up with him, he played tennis, then he started playing squash, and for the best part of, I don't know, probably the first 20 years of my life, I played squash with him every week. I grew up, got married, carried on being close to my dad. I knew he suffered from stress, probably work-related as much as anything else. And in his mid-50s, he was diagnosed with angina and told he had to give up playing squash.
Some goes up into the neck, some into the jaw, some have pain that goes down their back. There's so many different pains you can experience. The main thing is to get on the phone, dial 999, and then if it isn't a heart attack, everybody will be pleased, nobody will be in trouble. They can look to see what caused it. But if it is, you need attention very, very fast. I mean, in my case, on the way to the hospital, my heart stopped pumping and they had to stop the ambulance. They tried to get me going in the normal way and they couldn't. They used a defibrillator and they got me back you know, heart working again. And then they got me into a hospital, and they, you know, had to try for nearly an hour just to keep me alive.
And I actually felt a sensation of someone sticking a vacuum into my chest and sucking all the organs out. And I remembered that feeling because the last 2 bouts of atrial fibrillation I'd had, each of which had been cured by cardioversion, I remembered it actually happening. So you can feel it happening.
I can't do a lot of stairs. Inclines, I get out of breath. And but when I go to Spurs, I take each flight at a time.
Yeah.
So it takes me a bit of time to get up there, but I'll get there. You know, it's my boy Nicholas and Hayley. They calm me down.
Everything was done. Everything I did was at high pressure, high speed. And I had the energy of 3 people. This stopped me in my tracks to the extent that I actually took 2 weeks off work. And I was back at work 2 weeks after the operation. I know most people take a lot longer, but I figured I could do that. Now that was a mistake because I actually needed to give myself recovery time.
Completely out of the blue, while sitting in the audience watching Question Time during the ambulance men strike in early 1990. He had a bad pain in his chest. My mother was with him. He made his way to the end of the row where he collapsed, died almost instantly, they say. The ambulance strikers who were there made their way to help, did everything they could, took him to the local hospital, but he was dead on arrival. And we lost my dad aged 58, and I never got to share being a father because my kids were tiny at that stage. And the thing I miss most about Dad is the fact that I couldn't share what it was like to be a father. He would love to have been able to tell me what I was like growing up as compared with my son.
I think what is important though, in the end, really is to lead the kind of life that you really want, and that's what I do. The work that I do, it fits in well with the kind of lifestyle that I really want. Because in the end, the contentment that you get from living the life that you want is far more valuable than the material achievements that you might have by chasing after, whether it's a financial goal or some other form of achievement. So anyway, that's where I am now. So finally, it looks as though I'm here for a long period yet.
So to finish up with,
Yeah.
what do you think about the £1 challenge?
I think it's fabulous. They've all gone for it. So hopefully we get some more money.
I think the £1 challenge is brilliant because it's such a unique idea. It's hopefully going to raise the profile of the Heart Foundation, who do fantastic things, and I've benefited, and I can't say enough about it.
Lovely.
Except that I can say more about it.
I think the £1 challenge is a brilliant idea. I'd like to see more stress on the fact that it's for the British Heart Foundation, because I think that's the really important bit. As a concept, I think it's absolutely terrific. And I've tweeted it, I've put it in email messages, and I tell my friends and my kids and their friends about it as well.
I think it's a brilliant idea, and not only because I support anything to do with the British Heart Foundation, but it's a wonderful idea to involve 1 million people, because the message then gets circulated. So I think it's a very clever idea. Because of that, I volunteered to come along and talk about my story.
As soon as I saw it, and I thought, great, that's a brilliant idea, and I put my pound in straight away, and I passed it on to all my friends. And this is something I hope everybody will do. Get it round. It's a £1 challenge. They won't take any more than £1, just that £1. And if everybody does that, you'll soon get your million. It's brilliant. Thank you.